Alright, I'm here with a bit of a different video. I'm going to be going over a tier list for retro game consoles. I know this tier list thing is kind of a trend on YouTube, and if you can't beat them, join them, I guess. I figured it'd be fun. This video is going to be outdated in like 3 months, and everyone's going to be like, look at this idiot who made a tier list. But I figured I'd do it. I got 15 retro game consoles here, and I'm going to just go through them, see where I'd put them. Top rank, of course, being S, bottom rank being D. We're going to see where this ends up. I'm not quite sure, but there's going to be some opinions, so I'm probably missing some systems. Like I don't have I made this myself actually because I don't know, the other tier list, some people were getting too weird. They're like, the Samsung Nuon's on here, and it's like, no, get out of here. No one played that. Come on. But I just figured I'd make my own. I'll put a link to it if you want to make one, and send it to me on Twitter at Obju Gaming and show me your bad opinions. But there's going to be some bad opinions, I'm sure. I'm going to probably be missing some consoles, like I said. I think I'm missing original Game Boy because I'm an idiot. I just noticed that now. But what I classified retro as is up through the GameCube, PS2, Xbox era. So no Wii, no PS3, 360. I figured these systems are almost 20 years old now. They can be considered retro. So we're going to get started here. These are in no order because, I'm an idiot. So we're starting out here with a really glorious one. This is the Genesis, but it's also the 32X and Sega CD, and that needs to be factored in there. And I'm a big Genesis fan. I like the Genesis quite a bit, but I do not like the Sega CD that much. I mean, there's some interesting stuff on there, but it's kind of expensive. I should probably go over my criteria. My criteria for doing this for the rankings is, cool systems, how cool they are, the design of the system itself, the library. The library is the most important part to me. Maybe controller. Well, just kind of what makes the system the system. So Sega Genesis, the overall system's fine looking, but once you put the 32X on Sega CD, it looks ridiculous. So that's gonna have to maybe dock it a little bit. I like this. I like the library, but I don't like it as much as like the Super Nintendo. So I think honestly this is a solid B tier. I don't see why not. I think that's probably a good place. I put this one in here. I don't have a whole lot of experience with the Turbo Graphics, but I know a lot of people like it. A lot of people do like it. Have one. I don't have one currently. Been in the market forever, but I can't ever find one for a price I'm willing to pay because I'm cheap. But I've played some games from Turbo Graphics, like some of the Bonk games, some of the Virtual Console stuff on the Wii, and it's a cool system. I see it as a cool guy system. You're a retro gamer. You're too cool for collecting NES stuff. You're too cool for Genesis. You collect the Turbo Graphics, but Turbo Graphics is cool. I don't have anywhere that I can really place it, just because I don't have a whole lot of experience with it. So I'm gonna just put it at B, right in the middle. Drag that up. Oh, not a D. Gonna drag that right up there. Because just my lack of experience, but I put that on more because if anyone wanted to use this stupid tier list, I figured they'd want TurboGrafx to be on there. Next up is the Dreamcast, and I am been going for a full Dreamcast set for about 3 or 4 years now. I really like the Dreamcast. It has its problems though. Very loud disc reader. It's a very loud system. Obviously cut short too early. I mean, not even 2 years on the market here in America. So that kind of plays into it. The library's good, but the library's small, and there is a lot of junk on the Dreamcast. So I feel bad I can't put it in S tier. I just can't. But I will put it in A tier because it is great. Nintendo 64 here. Nintendo 64, I want another system. I'm going for a complete set. I like it. I like the library. The library, once again, very small, but very good, but there is a lot of crap. But, I mean, you could probably name 25, 30 really solid N64 games. A lot of them classics. A lot of classic games. A lot of them still hold up. Some of them don't. But I really feel like the N64 does deserve a pretty high placing on here. I'm going to put it at A next to the Dreamcast. I feel like, it has that small library, but it has a lot of classics like Ocarina of Time and Mario 64. But it does have, it is a little bit, less than the other systems. I threw this one in just for fun, the Panasonic 3DO. I needed something to put into D tier, honestly. The 3DO, ugh, I have one actually. It's not a great system. Its library's pretty lame. Some of the anything even remotely good's a little expensive for it. So I'm gonna have to put it at D tier. But I figured I'd throw in something, something needs to be the definitive worst. And I know there's some 3DO fans, like 7 3DO fans on the entire planet, but it's not a great system. I hate to say it. Next up is the PS2. PS2, that thing's a monster. Highest selling system of all time. Everyone's favorite first DVD player. I didn't grow up with the PS2. I grew up with the Gamecube, but the PS2 is stellar. I really like the PS2. It has a lot of classics, a lot of stuff that doesn't hold up great, but better than the better than the PS1. I gotta give PS2 a S tier. Honestly, I think it deserves it. I think it has such a great library, especially a great library of RPGs. It's the beginning of a lot of different series, and it's a pretty important system overall. So I got to give it that S tier. I think it deserves it. I have some gripes with it, but I think it deserves it. Tari 2600. I'm a little bit conflicted on where to put this one. I know 2600 is a very, very important system, but it's not a system I really care for. I collected 2600, a couple years ago. I had about 40, 50 games and 2600, and I just don't like it. I don't like the system. I think the games haven't... There's some games that still hold up. There's some stuff that still is worthwhile, but, I mean, you can get like a 2600... you can get like an Atari like anniversary collection and play those games and not have to mess with the old system, the old console. Plus, just on principle, I hate Atari because every time I go out to garage sales, people are like, "Oh, I got some Atari stuff, but that stuff's worth a lot," and it's not worth a lot. I'm telling you right now. So I'm gonna have to put. I didn't think I'd do this, but now I talked myself into it. I'm gonna have to put Atari 2600 in the D tier. I just don't like it. I know this is gonna be a hot take. There's about 12 Atari collectors that are still alive today, fuming at this, but I'm sorry. All the Atari collectors are in the nursing home now, so they're not going to get me. They can't do anything. Bunch of old men. Super Nintendo. Man, Super Nintendo's awesome. I don't like it as much as a lot of other people do. Super Nintendo's still a great system, though. Like I said, I don't really like it as much as a lot of other people do, but there's some real classics on there. And some real great stuff. But overall, I mean, it probably ranks lower amongst my ranking of the Nintendo systems overall. Although, I mean, that's still not a bad thing. But I don't know where I'm going to put this, honestly. I'm between between A and B. A tier and B tier, honestly. I don't know. I think I'm going to have to give it A just because it has, like Mario World and stuff. I'm not going to give it D. Gonna have to give it A there, because it is pretty great. I gotta give it that. Which puts us as NES, which also that's gonna be a hard one to rank, honestly. I like the NES a lot. There's a lot of garbage, but I mean there's some absolute classics, a lot of killer stuff. And unlike when I talk about the N64 or when I'll talk about the PS1, this stuff has aged pretty well. So I mean the Mega Mans, those all aged great. Mario's, Zelda 1 and 2, the Castlevania games 1 and 3 more, but I mean I'm not a complete 2 hater. I just don't really care for it. I mean there's some killer stuff on there that's really, really aged well. Although I gotta say that is only about, I don't know, that's a very small portion of the library. When you look at the library, there's over 800 games, and most of them are junk. And a lot of people are also think that this NES stuff's worth a lot. It's really not. I'm going to put it at B tier. I think that's about fair. It's amongst the ranks of the Genesis, which is definitely a good spot. Amongst the ranks of the TurboGrafx, which I just put that in a neutral place. I shouldn't really rank that, but I'm going to anyway because it's my list. So yeah, overall, I think that's probably a fair place for it. I got to say, there's a lot of junk on the system, but there's a lot of killer stuff. And I mean, a lot of games today are still taking influence from the NES games. And there's a lot of NES games that still hold up and are awesome. But I'm going to have to put it at B tier just because I don't like the system design. It looks goofy. It's a bit of a pain to work with the flashing light, and you got to wiggle the cartridge around. Yeah, I think this is fair. The controller's still a little too small. Even if it's iconic, it's a little too small. I think this is fair. So we'll move into the GameCube now. GameCube, my favorite system of all time. I just got to give it to it. I'm gonna give it S tier. I'm not even gonna reason. I'm gonna give it S tier. It's great. GameCube is great. It had a great library. Ton of killer first party stuff. Good third party support. Resident Evil 4. That kind of great. Why listed one game, but there is good third party support. It feels like really great system. Obviously didn't sell so hot. But I really like the GameCube. Some of my favorite games on there, Wind Waker, Mario Sunshine, so much good stuff on there. Some really, really fun stuff, and I really like the system a lot. Handle, it has a handle. I was at the flea market. I picked up a GameCube at the flea market, and it was just a system, and I'm carrying it around with the handle. I'm like, this is so much more convenient than carrying, because I also had a PS2 I was carrying around, and the things, I can't grab it. I got to put it under me. It's ugh. But no, GameCube has a little handle. It's light. I mean, the controller is top. I mean, the controller is like triple S tier. I would put it up above S tier, just the controller. That controller is great. Still used today. You can still use it on Switch. I mean, and even Nintendo knows how good their controller is. So yeah, that's where I'll put GameCube. It's too good. Game Boy Advance. I didn't put the original Game Boy. Honestly, I forgot to put it in this list, but I probably put it at D tier. I'm not crazy about the original Game Boy. I don't know. But Game Boy Advance, I don't know. Game Boy Advance is kind of, in the middle for me. That was my first Nintendo system, but it feels like a lot of the games are just ports of Super Nintendo games with like the Mario Advance, and they ported Link to the Past and stuff. And I don't know. It just doesn't feel like that memorable of a system. There's those Final Fantasy ports. I mean, it just feels like more like a port machine. And there's some cool stuff on there. There's people like Metroid Fusion, Minish Caps on there. There's no original Mario platformer on there, which I just kind of thought of. That's kind of weird. Mario and Luigi, of course, but I don't know. I'll put it at C tier. I'm kind of more just indifferent about it. Really, I like it. I think I'd probably list it higher if I was a bigger Pokemon fan, but I don't know. I just feel like, I like it. It's good, but it doesn't compare to anything else on here. PlayStation 1 next. I'll go to that one. I like the PlayStation 1 a lot. What an awesome system. I can't give it S tier. As much as I think I want to, I just can't, because, I mean, look at some of those games. Aged so poorly. And the system itself breaks down pretty easily. But I mean, I really like the PlayStation 1. A lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool games. Some of my favorites, Silent Hill, the classic Resident Evil games. I mean, who could forget? There's so much good stuff on there. Everyone loves Crash and Spyro and all that stuff. I don't know. I think it's really a great system. And obviously it kicked off the PlayStation legacy, which is, I mean, they've just been killing it. So I'll put PlayStation 1 at A tier, honestly. Some people might say that's a little high because the games have aged poorly, but there's still a lot of, I mean, Symphony of the Night, that's still is completely playable. I mean, that game feels like it could come out today, honestly. There's a lot of great stuff on there. So I'm going to have to give the PS1 A tier because I think it deserves it. Next up is the Master System. I threw this one on here. I have a Master System in about a dozen games. It's a pretty cool system, honestly. It's no NES for sure, but it's a pretty cool system. I like it quite a bit. I like the design of it. It is ridiculous and horrible it looks. I think it has this kind of interesting, like, 80s look to it. So, yeah, I would put the Master System probably at C tier. I don't have much connection to it. I don't have much love to it, but it's not bad. Like, I don't like these systems, but I do like it. It's just, I don't know. It's not a system that really stands out to you too much. You're not like sitting there like, oh, I got to play all the classics like Alex Kidd on Master System. But I do got to give it some credit. It's a pretty good system. Has some neat stuff on there, but I'm not going to give it too high. The Sega Saturn here. Okay. I have a Saturn. I have not very many games on it because the games are kind of too expensive, which that's going to have to dock it. The small library, the amount of good games on there, and just it's not very many good games, not very good library overall. I don't know. I don't want to put it at D tier because I don't know though. I mean, it kind of doomed itself with the stupid when they came out and just shadow dropped it and just say, "Hey guys, it's out now," that could never happen today. Some guy on Reddit would like, "Hey guys, look at this in the back room of the Walmart I work at." That could never happen today. But I don't know. It just feels like a dumb system. I think I might have to put it at D tier, which I didn't think I could do. But the more I think about it, the more I feel kind of like, I don't know. I mean, it is, the library is kind of small. It's kind of ridiculous. How expensive the stuff is on it, which obviously is not its fault. The controller is kind of terrible. I don't know. I kind of just feel indifferent to it, but I wish I could get more stuff for it because there's some cool stuff on there, but that stuff's so expensive and you never find it. I've been, garage sailing, flea marketing for God knows how many years, and I've not 6-7 years, and I've never found any Saturn games. I found a system once in some guy's bin, but it's like, come on. And then we'll finish off here with the Xbox, kind of, the newest competitor in the ring, the newest company, I should say. And I like the original Xbox. It kind of feels more of like a Me Too system to the PS2, but it did have some kind of weird exclusives and stuff like that. Obviously, a very powerful system for the time. It introduced online play, which is that's pretty important to how we play games now. Has some cool exclusives, and it has the good multi-plats and everything. I mean, it's not a bad system. It's not as memorable as maybe a lot of these systems are. I mean, when you sit here with the Super Nintendo or something, or the PS2, you can list off like 20 classics like it's nothing. But with the Xbox, you're kind of like Jade Empire, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic. It gets a little harder. I guess maybe that's because I didn't grow up with it. But I do like the original Xbox. It's really cheap to collect for. It's too big for its own good. Wastes like most of its time, most of its space with that big thing, the big green circle on it. The controller, I don't know, that Duke controller is probably the worst. If I ranked the controllers, that would be like F tier, that Duke controller, next to like the N64 controller. But yeah, I think I'll put it into B tier. I like it more than the Game Boy Advance, I'd say, and probably more than the Master System. If you were to say to me right now, hey, let's sit down and play some retro games, your three choices, or I guess your choices are the Xbox, the Game Boy Advance, the Master System, the 3DO, the Saturn, or the 2600, I'd probably say, all right, let's sit down and play some Xbox. We'll mess around with some stuff. So I guess that would probably be where I would go with that. And that's my tier list. I'll put a link in the description if you want to do it. I doubt anyone's going to because it's terrible, but it might as well. If you do one, send it to me on Twitter at Objo Gaming with your opinions that just because they're not mine or not as good as mine. And follow me on there while you're at it. Make sure to like if you enjoyed this video. I don't know. I just wanted to kind of try something new. I haven't been able to put out a video for a while, so I wanted to be able to try something new, see if people like it, jump on a trend, Got to milk that sweet YouTube views, until it's dry. But yeah, make sure to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Leave a comment with how wrong my opinions are, and I will see you next time.